Hello, friends. You may be feeling like life has broken you down, like the dream you once carried has turned to dust. Maybe you've gone through disappointment, failure, or loss. You prayed, you believed, you tried your best, and yet things fell apart. The relationship didn't last, the career didn't unfold, the healing didn't come as you expected. And now, if you're honest, you feel dry, tired, and maybe even forgotten. But I came today with a message for your heart. God is not finished with you yet. Dust is not the end, it's the beginning of destiny. In Genesis 2 7, the Bible says that God formed man out of the dust of the ground and breathed it into his nostrils, the breath of life. Think about that. The Almighty, the creator of galaxies, didn't use gold or silver to make humanity. He used dust, something ordinary, something dirty, something most people would sweep away. Why? Because God wanted to show us that He can take what looks worthless and make it wonderful. You may look at your life and see dust, mistakes, regrets, pieces of what used to be. But the same God who breathed life into Adam is still breathing into people today. He's still taking dust and turning it into destiny. Sometimes we think our failures have disqualified us. I made too many mistakes. I wasted too many years. I should have been further along by now. But God doesn't see what's wrong with you, He sees what's possible through you. Moses was 80 years old when God called him. Joseph spent years in a prison cell before stepping into the palace. Ruth was widowed and broke before she walked into her destiny as the great grandmother of King David. You may feel like your life is on pause, but in God's eyes, you're just in preparation. Don't let your delay make you doubt your destiny. When something breaks apart, when it seems life has turned to dust, that's not a sign of death. It's a sign that something new is being formed. In the book of Ezekiel, the prophet saw a valley filled with dry bones, bones that represented defeat, hopelessness, and the end of the story. But God asked him, Son of man, can these bones live again? And Ezekiel said, Lord, you know. Then God told him to prophesy, to speak life into what was dead. And as Ezekiel spoke, the bones began to rattle, to connect, to come back together. Flesh covered them, breath entered them, and they stood up, a vast army. That's what happens when God breathes on your dust. Things that looked over suddenly come alive. Maybe your dream seems dead, your joy seems gone, your passion feels buried, but don't bury what God is still building. The enemy loves to use dust, confusion, fear, regret to blind your vision. That's what he did in Genesis. The serpent crawled in the dust because dust limits your view. It keeps you looking down, not up. When you're looking at the dust, at what you didn't work out, you can't see what God's still working on. But here's the good news: God also uses dust, not to blind you, but to build you. He'll take the same material the enemy used to discourage you and turn it into the very foundation of your comeback. When Adam was just dust, he had form but no life, potential but no power. Everything changed when God breathed on him. All it takes is one breath from heaven to shift everything in your favor. One touch from the Almighty can turn your weakness into strength, your sorrow into joy, your ashes into beauty. Don't underestimate the breath of God. When He breathes, dead dreams come alive. When He breathes, broken hearts heal. When He breathes, dry seasons end. That's why you can't give up yet, because His breath is still coming your way. Sometimes we think the story is finished because of what we have lost, but with God, every ending is a setup for a better beginning. Job, Job lost everything: his family, his wealth, his health. It looked like dust, but the same God who allowed Job to be tested also restored him double for his trouble. Maybe you're in a Job season. Everything feels stripped away, but the God who restored Job hasn't changed. He's still the same today. What if your current struggle is just the middle chapter of your miracle story? Don't close the book yet. God's still writing. When a seed is planted, it's buried under the dirt. It looks dead, but in that dark place, it's actually being transformed. You might be in a dark season right now, but don't mistake it for defeat. It's development. You're not being buried, you're being planted. And when the time is right, you're going to rise stronger, wiser, and more fruitful than ever before. Your dust is not the end of your story, it's the soil for your destiny. You may have failed, but failure is not who you are. You are a child of the Most High God, and your Father is full of mercy. Peter denied Yeshua 3 times, but the same Peter was later used to preach the gospel to thousands. David committed adultery, yet he was still called a man after God's own heart. Jonah ran away from his assignment, but God sent a storm and a fish to bring him back to his purpose. If God gave them a second chance, He'll give you one too. You're not finished, you're being refashioned. Maybe you stopped dreaming because you've been disappointed. You prayed, but nothing changed. You waited, but the door stayed closed. But God says, I'm doing a new thing. Don't get stuck in what was. Make room for what will be. The same hands that form you out of dust are still shaping your destiny. The same breath that gave you life is still flowing toward your future. It's not over until God says it's over. And He's not saying finished, He's saying forming. Declare this over your life. I may have been broken, but I'm not done. I may have failed, but I'm still favored. I may have fallen, but I'm getting back up. God is breathing new life into my dry places. My dust is becoming destiny. When life feels messy, when the pieces are scattered, remember, dust is where God does His best work. He formed Adam from dust. He healed the blind man with dust and spit. He still uses dust to bring forth miracles. So if you feel like you're in pieces, take heart. You're in the potter's hands. He's not done molding you. He's not done using you. He's not done blessing you. From dust to destiny, you're not finished yet.